Hello everybody, welcome back to the Spoked Wheel YouTube channel. Today we're back with episode 29 of the Andy Schleck Pro Cyclist Mode series, where we're continuing our attempt at winning the 2022 Tour de France. Today we'll be playing stages 12, 15, and 17 here, and this is a really important stretch for two reasons. First off, there's a time trial in the middle, so 37 kilometers. It's classified as hilly, which gives us a bit more of a fighting chance than we would have if it was flat, but I'm still anticipating losing a bit of time on this time trial to some of our major rivals like Primoz Roglic, who is a lot better at time trials than Andy Schleck is. And then the second reason why this stretch is important is that it takes us right up to the final three mountain stages of the Tour, a mountain time trial and then two normal road stages. Once we've concluded today's video, that will be all in between us and the Champs-Élysées. So we're getting really right down to crunch time at this point. We need to ride really well in these next three stages that we play in order to set ourselves up to finish the race on a strong note and hopefully try and win it. So with all that said, let's get right into the action. We are into stage 12 now at the Tour. And this stage finishes with the climb of Mont Ventoux, which is a mountain that we're very familiar with here in the career of Andy Schleck. We've done the Mont Ventoux challenge a few times. I believe we won it the last time we played it, so that's some good experience for sure to have under our belt going into this stage. I think to this point in the race, we've been the strongest pure climber, and it's why we're in the yellow jersey right now, leading the race. One thing to note is that our fitness peak has ended, so we're no longer getting the assistance of being at our fitness peak. Luckily today we still have a pretty decent race day condition. It says 0, but we have a boost to a lot of our attributes, so that will be very helpful today as we look to hopefully try and win the stage and gain time on our GC rivals heading into the time trial that's just around the corner. We've reached Mont Ventoux here, still about 20 kilometers to go to the finish. Unfortunately, our climbing support of Attila Valter, Lalarge, and Van Gils are all on pretty bad race day conditions, so I'd imagine they won't be able to stick around with us for too long, but that's okay. Luckily, given the gap that we have on the second place rider Bernal and the third place rider Roglic, we can once again afford to ride a little bit more defensively, so we don't really need to use our teammates to try and blow the race apart. I'm pretty content to let Ineos and UAE, maybe Mitchelton Scott as well, set pace for the start of this climb, and then once the moves start flying from the contenders, we'll just have to respond to those. With 10 kilometers to go, we have Danny Martinez going on the attack, Roglic and Bernal both following him as well, so that's definitely something that we need to respond to. Right now we're getting blocked a little bit. Adam Yates is going to counter the move, taking Chicone and Pinot with him. We're just going to keep riding at a steady tempo of 85. The moves aren't really getting away for now, so we can afford to just kind of ride steadily and not pick up the pace to respond. There is still one rider out in front, Einar Rubio, I believe, from Movistar, but he should get caught in the next couple of kilometers, and then it will be the GC riders who fight it out for the stage win on Mont Ventoux. We've got 3 kilometers to go here, less than that actually, and the riders are very quickly falling off the pace here. We've got Roglic, Bernal, Pogačar, Martinez, and Andy Schleck, the same group of 5 that we had the other day. We're inside of 2 kilometers to go. I think it's time to make a move with Andy Schleck here. We also want to use our energy gel so we don't forget. Everyone's able to respond to that one pretty well, so let's go back to effort cursor and see if they can stay with our pace, and it looks like the gap is starting to open up a little bit. I'm going to bump it down a few points here because I don't want to run out of energy before we hit the line, but we will be gaining more time on just about everyone. Let's sprint for it and let's celebrate as we cross the line. A big stage win for Andy Schleck on Mont Ventoux, and it looks like we'll get about 45 seconds or so here. Yeah, it's going to be about 45 seconds on Roglic, Bernal, Pogačar, and Martinez. So that's a very successful stage. Great stage win. add in 10 bonus seconds, and we're gaining almost a minute ahead of the time trial as well. So really couldn't have gone more perfectly to plan for Andy Schleck today on Mont Ventoux. We have made it to stage 15, and as you can see by the fact that we're still in the yellow jersey, we didn't do too badly in the stage 13 hilly time trial. I think in the end we lost around a minute to both Bernal and Roglic, which means that they are now respectively about a minute 20 and a minute 30 down on us on the GC. So it turned out that 45 plus 10 second bonus time gain that we got on Mont Ventoux is pretty important, because those two stages seem to have more or less canceled each other out in terms of the time gains in our direction and then in their direction as well. So the race isn't over by any means. A minute 30 is still a gap that could be made up over a stage or two if something goes wrong for us, but I do think we're still in a really good spot here. In terms of the stage today, there's a ton of climbing in the profile, as you can see, but it sort of looks like another one where there's going to be a small GC group that gets over the top this last climb, and then everyone comes to the finish together. If this HC climb was a little bit later in the stage, maybe things would be different, but just with the way the profile shakes out, I think there's enough descending and flat sections on either side of this final climb to basically mean that there won't be too much time gain today. But I've been wrong before, and you never really know what will happen with this game, so we could see something different, but that's what I'm anticipating going into this stage. We've made it to the final climb of the day. We're in a peloton of 35 riders here. There were a few attacks on this HC climb, the Grand Colombier, but nothing really stuck, and we came to the top in a group with all the major GC favorites. We've been without the support from our teammates since about 80 kilometers to go, so it's been a long time that we've been on our own, but luckily we've been able to defend our position pretty well and haven't really had that situation been taken advantage of by any of the other teams. So yeah, we're in a good spot. We're just going to try and make it to the top of this climb with the leaders, and then we'll go from there in terms of whoever wins the stage. So inside of the last kilometer to the top of the climb, we're in a group of two here with Danny Martinez, but there's not much of a gap really back to the other favorites. We'll see whether or not they make up time on the descent, but I'd imagine even if we stay away to the bottom of the descent, which it looks like we're not because the group just came back to 11 riders, now it's back to 2, so we'll see. But what I was going to say is even if we make it to the bottom of the descent, there's a significant portion of flat roads where I think the group behind is going to be able to catch up. And it looks like this time they're back for good. So it was worth a shot on the climb, but yeah, nothing that really stuck on today's stage. We've got 3 kilometers to go. Nairo Quintana is currently leading the race. Martinez and Pogacar are in the second group here, but Tom Dumoulin is riding pretty hard to bring things back together. We're following the wheel of Egan Bernal because he's our most immediate rival, but we're all going to sprint into the final kilometer. It looks like Bernal is going to take the stage. Roglic will get second. We will get third. Quintana will get third, actually, so his late move there on the flat paid off. He grabs the last couple of bonus seconds. So we'll lose a little bit of time in bonus seconds to Bernal and Roglic, but nothing major, which is about what I expected at the start of this stage. We are into stage 17, which means it's time for another big mountaintop finish at the Tour de France. This is a real opportunity to gain big time for the GC contenders. That final climb is really steep and long, and the fact that there's a Cat 1 right before it means there could be some huge time losses if certain GC riders don't have good legs today. Luckily, we have a +2 race day condition, so we get a really nice boost to every single one of our attributes, which is fantastic because today is a huge day in terms of who wins the Tour, I think. At the moment, Egan Bernal is 1 minute and 9 seconds back of us in second place, and Primoz Roglic is 1:20 on the dot back, so I personally think we need to put more time in between ourselves and those two dangerous riders for sure. And given the race day condition we have and the parkour, today seems like a really good opportunity to try and do that before the second time trial of the race, which is, I think, the next stage, but it might be the one after that. Either way, it will be in the next video after this one, so all we can do for the rest of this video is just try and ride our best on this stage and hopefully gain some time with Andy Schleck to increase our buffer. We've made it to the bottom of this Category 1 Col de la Fourclaz. It's a really tough climb, average gradient of 8% for almost 13 kilometers, but given the final climb that's just on the other side of it, I'd imagine there won't be too many major attacks. But either way, we're just going to stay ready and use the teammates that we have to keep ourselves in a good position to make sure that we're ready just in case any of the other favorites decide to attack on this one. We've made it to the base of the final climb here in what is a weird collection of GC contenders and also riders from the breakaway. I really need a water bottle, so I'm dropping back now to get that. Not really a good time for me to need that, but hopefully we'll be able to make our way back up to the front here. Less than 10 kilometers to go in the stage, so I think Pogacar attacked, but he's almost 5 minutes down, so he's not a huge concern. I'm going to keep riding steadily at 85 effort here. I don't think this pace will really keep up the whole way up the climb. And I think the one leader is Chris Hamilton from Sunweb, who was a part of the day's breakaway. There goes Egan Bernal. Oh no, I thought he was going to attack. There he goes, Bernal. Alright, we need to respond to this move for sure. Didn't quite get there in time. Now we're getting blocked by EF riders there. So we got to attack out of that group to try and bridge back up across to this group, because that's all our main contenders for the GC here. But we will be able to get back across without too much trouble, so that's good news. It looks like we're about to catch Chris Hamilton as well. Let's knock it down to about 75 here, and we'll just ride steadily and see which riders can stay with us, and then hopefully we'll have enough energy to attack to try and gain some time closer to the finish. Inside of 3 kilometers to go, Egan Bernal has been dropped. Primoz Roglic is the only rider who's able to hold our wheel for now, and he is also being dropped here. This climb finishes with a really steep section, so I want to make sure we're not going too deep here because we need energy to finish strong. But given that Roglic and Bernal are both dropped and struggling, this is a huge chance to gain time and hopefully win the Tour in the process. We're going to keep it going here. We'll go up to 75 into the last kilometer. Gradient's up over 11% right now, so it's incredibly steep up towards the top. We're going to be gaining big time here. This is a great ride from Andy Schleck. We're capitalizing on the +2 race day condition. Let's sprint it home to the line. And we actually could have gone a little bit earlier, but we're going to take a lot of time, over a minute on our most immediate rivals. So huge win for Andy Schleck today. So here we have the results of stage 17 of the 2022 Tour, and look at these time gaps. This is phenomenal news for Andy Schleck. We gained 1 minute and 48 seconds on Romain Bardet, who took second on the day, 2 minutes exactly on Primoz Roglic, 2:19 on Egan Bernal. So let's take a look at what that does to the general classification. Primoz Roglic leapfrogs Bernal up into second, but he is 3 minutes and 26 seconds down on Andy Schleck. Bernal stays on the podium in third, 3:38 down, and it's Danny Martinez in fourth, almost 6 minutes down. So huge time gaps that we earned on this big stage 17. And that's going to be it for episode 29. This was a huge episode for us. I said as much at the start, and I think we performed very well in this key section of the Tour. So next episode, episode 30, we have 3 more mountain stages left, 4 stages in total remaining in the Tour, so we're getting really close to achieving our goal of winning the Tour. It's very exciting times right now for Andy Schleck. He's right on the doorstep of a first Tour de France win and a second Grand Tour win. So hopefully, in the next episode, we can close things out and win the Tour and achieve the goal that we set out to accomplish at the beginning of this series. But thank you to everyone who's tuned into this video and the series as a whole. I appreciate your support, and I will see you next time.